right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Will Bridges from 123Trade. We're just about ready to get started with this week's trading session. We have a ton of announcements that we're going to talk about. We actually saw an interest rate hike here from the Bank of England this week. A much more hawkish stance from the Fed here in the US. They're talking about 3 interest rate changes now instead of 2 and next year. They're also talking about, really advancing their taper from all the asset purchasing that they've been doing, which has been very popular. You guys might have heard of things like that called QE, quantitative easing. They're going to have to ease a little bit less is essentially what the message seems to be from the Fed, because inflation is no longer a transitory term, which means that as far as trading goes, that is a massive advantage. If inflation is going to be a big deal and some governments are going to take a lot more reign over it than others, that is going to cause big opportunity in the market. So we are just about ready to get started. Let me make sure that I've got everything here. Last week we didn't get a recording. This week we are going to have a recording. It is recording right now. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Everybody can see the screen. You should still be looking at Jared Martinez on the start page. Perfect. Thank you, John. And we might as well get the show on the road here, people. First things first, I'm going to cover my base and go ahead and get to the risk disclaimer. And what this says is that if you put your money in the foreign exchange, or really any market for that matter, then your capital is at risk. As I like to say it, you have to risk it to get the biscuit. There is no such thing as a guaranteed trade or a guaranteed win. Anybody tells you that there is, they're full of it. It's really all that it is. You're going to see me trade with a stop loss. Some of you might be here for your first time. Looks like a lot of familiar names in here. Ross, can't believe you made it out, man. I feel like we haven't seen you for a while. I know you got a lot of automation going now, though, Ross. So I don't want to infringe on what you do usually. Not to call you out. But otherwise, if you are here for your first time, let me know. Again, I'm Will Bridges from your team at 123Trade. We've been doing these live sessions on Friday for quite some time. I've got some live trades still running from last week. Who's here for their first time? I remember my first time. I'm just kidding. But we're going to go through a lot in this session here. If you do have a question, then by all means, type it in the chat box. I am paying attention. Okay, I'm going to cover a lot in this session. We're going to go through fundamentals of trading, and we're also going to go through a lot of live market analysis. I'm going to place a few trades in here. So if this is something that's new, or you've been doing this for a long time, let's just say you might see something that that you didn't know about before. One of our primary functions here, actually our primary function here, is to help you get regulated, secure brokerage. We want to make sure that you guys have somebody you can trust so that you can place trades and not worry about, the day that you want to take your money out of your account. Because there's a lot of bad situations that people have ended up in. When you're participating in a global market, it's easy to find bad people. So our primary goal, first goal, is to make sure that you have, some nice people to trade with some favorable market conditions, because not everybody offers the same thing. You need to have any questions about that. You have anybody that that needs an account, anything like that, we'd love to help them out. Send us an email to brokers@123trade.com and we'll get them rocking. But we're going to provide as much guidance and mentorship. I want to make sure you guys understand, I want to do the best I can to help you understand how to not blow out your account. That is the number one thing. Most people are going to tell you, yep, I'm going to make you a millionaire tomorrow. I want to teach you guys how to not blow out an account. That's after making sure that you have an account, I want to teach you guys as best I can, how to not blow out an account. Because if there's anything that I can do to make you better traders, it's to teach you how to manage risk. So we're going to talk about that in here. How many of you in here have blown out an account? Just give me a Y or an N. Nobody's going to know but me. I'll raise my hand. I've lost money in a trading account before. I'll raise mine. So what I want to do is I want to teach you guys a lot about what I've learned over the years. I've been in FX for 7 or 8 years now. And realistically speaking, everybody wants to know the same thing, difference between people that make money and people that don't. So we're going to talk about that in here. And well, just to say, I already shed a lot of light on that. But we're going to do weekly training and analysis in here. That's a picture of me. I'm a little bit older than that now. This picture, I think, is from like 2015 or something. But that being said, all of this stuff that's here, that's on this list, placing your first trade, smart trader ideas, all that stuff. If you come to our website, there's a lot of how-to videos on here on the YouTube section. We also have a YouTube channel. As far as it goes, lately I've really just put a lot of these videos on here. But really, we're going to cover a lot of different topics today. I might rip out some indicators and show you guys some cool stuff. Because I think we don't talk enough indicators in here. But there's also, well, if you're interested, if you want to know how to make your own indicator-based system, I think I showed how to make one in here. How to find trend direction. There's a bunch of stuff in here. But if you go to our actual YouTube channel, there are more videos. I do make an actual trading system in one of these videos. I'm not sure if it's here or on the actual channel itself. But this video will be posted here once we get done. And this news page, for those of you that like to know what's going on around the world, this is all of the news for the entire planet. Okay, so I actually go through all this stuff. There's an ebook in here that essentially breaks down a scoring system that you could use this page for, and really just figure out which economy has the hottest sentiment, like which one is everybody down on and which one is everybody up on. So if everybody's excited about one economy and not excited about another, then usually I play strong versus weak, usually what I like to do. But let's go ahead and get over to Forex Factory. This week was actually the last full week of trading this year, which is really going to be, in my opinion, a big trend setter. There's going to be some big opportunities at this part of the year. If you're not paying attention right now, then, realistically speaking, you might miss some of the biggest opportunities of the year. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about once we get over to the charts. But let's go ahead and click on this week. I'm going to apply. You guys can see how much really important news came out. All these red announcements, okay? These are major market movers. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single one of these. I'm going to highlight a couple of things that I think are very important. One of them being this 5% year-over-year inflation in the UK. That is huge. The target is 2%. Okay, so the target is 2%. So they have 2.5 times the inflation that they aimed for. Okay, so later on in the week, they actually decided to raise the interest rate, which is really the central bank's biggest tool to fight inflation is to raise the price of money. That's what the interest rate is. Okay, so that being said, USA, PPI, this is another inflationary number, 0.8%. This is a month-over-month number. That's huge. That's like 4 times what we want. If I open this chart here, okay, you guys can see, we haven't had a big cluster of high inflation like this since all the way back in 2011. Okay, so they really let it go for a while here this time around. It seems like they really wanted to pump up inflation here for the last, 8 months or so here in the US before they actually decided to do something and change their stance at all. And that just happened on Wednesday. Okay, so that was right here, this FOMC statement. Okay, that was big news. They did not raise the interest rate, okay, but they are planning on doing it 3 times next year, according to what they said on Wednesday. Okay, so retail sales actually fell. So the US is actually in a little bit of a flux right now because, well, let's just say the Fed changed their stance, so that lowers confidence in the Fed, but they changed their stance in a way that they're going to raise interest rates. So a lot of things can happen. We're going to get to the charts in a second here. I want to show you guys some moves that I think could be pretty big. This New Zealand here, okay, New Zealand has been, well, actually, can anybody guess? If you guys type in the chat box, why do you think New Zealand's GDP went down 3.7%? They had negative growth. I guess if you want to call it that, that would be decay, I guess, by most people's definition. But anybody have any idea why? If you type in the chat box, why they've got this negative GDP number here? No guesses? There you go, Ross. I should probably wake up everybody. I need to call out everybody in here. Lockdowns. It's very straightforward. Lockdowns. Okay, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on, the whole politics of the thing, but at the end of the day, if you lock people down, they don't go to work. Okay, so that's really it. Like, we're not here to talk about anything but the money-making aspect of things. If you lock people down, they can't go to work, and if they can't go to work, they don't demand a paycheck. So that's really the long and short of it. Okay, so a lot of you guys hit on that. I guess there's about a 10-second or so delay from when I asked to when I actually see the answers you guys put in here. But that's it. Okay, so if the lockdowns are ending here in New Zealand, and I do believe that they're starting to slow that down, pretty much everybody there is vaccinated. So really, this number is better than it was forecasted to be. It was a lot worse than the last number. So we could see a little bit of a resurgence from the NZD. Just my opinion. This is kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. Okay, so that's really what I'm thinking about with New Zealand. So I'm going to be pretty excited about looking at some NZD pairs. I'm also really interested in the euro. I'll show you guys why once we get there. But Australia looks like they're cranking. They're opening back up. And that's a good sign for New Zealand as well. Okay, because they usually kind of lockstep one another. If New Zealand does something, then Australia is going to do the same thing, vice versa. A lot of times Australia is going to be the one wearing the pants in that relationship just because they have a slightly bigger economy than New Zealand. But that being said, this is the bank rate increase in the UK. Big deal. Let's go ahead and get over to the charts, see what's going on. So we did see a much more, well, let's just say they're raising rates in the UK. They're raising rates in the US. New Zealand has actually already started raising rates. They're at kind of a low point as far as production goes. So let's get over to some charts. And there's actually one here that might be the silent benefactor of what I just put in here. And this is really a big opportunity. I want to show this one here first. And you guys will immediately understand why I think this is a big opportunity. Let's go to the all-time frame here. I'm going to crunch this thing down. I want the whole world in my hands. And this is really all the way back to 1993. Okay, so if I'm going to make a decision, I want to use as much information as I can to make my decision. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so if we take a look at this here, we're going to draw a couple lines. I always like to work left to right. I don't always show all of these in these presentations. I should probably be better about that. Gets a little bit, once you do this a few hundred times, you guys will start to understand where everything is. And it becomes a little bit monotonous for you, but that's actually, don't let things get monotonous for you. You need to draw all the lines. You need to understand where things are and what's going on. Okay, so this particular chart, let me get this list off of here so that I can see better what I've got going on behind here. There we go. Okay, so doesn't look like a crazy complicated chart here anymore for us. And really, if we want to zoom in more, okay, because this is the last many years. We're right kind of in no man's land in our channel. I can't make a decision from my monthly time frame here. So let's come down to our weekly. Okay, so now that we're on our weekly, okay, I do believe that this is an uptrend because that is kind of what we saw on our highest time frame, is this upward moving channel. Okay, that's been happening since 1993. Okay, so if that is the case, okay, then I want to look for something that will give me a better idea of what I can trade now. Okay, and if we zoom in here, okay, we're on our weekly chart now. This is all the way back to 2016. This is 5 years of data. Okay, so I have my rectangle tool on here. I'm just gonna, more or less see where the market's turned around before. Okay, so this is all the way back to 2016. And we've got lots of turnarounds at the top and the bottom of my box. That's why I put it there. I used my eyeballs to figure out where the market made turns, because that's where I want to buy and sell. Okay, so there's a lot of them at this price. Okay, the market seems to like the opportunity to work its way between this range. Okay, obviously it doesn't have to go all the way to the top. It doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom. It doesn't have to do anything. Okay, but the point is that the market has made very large turns from my yellow circles on the bottom and ended up at my yellow circles at the top many times in the last 5 years. Okay, so that being said, okay, it's not about what I think, it's about what I can protect with my risk. Okay, so just looking at this now, depending on how, willing you are to stay in a trade for a long time, you can do a lot of things with this. There's some of you position traders out there, those that want to sit in a trade for a considerable period of time, you might try to take it all the way to the top here, all the way back up to 91. That's 650 pips away. Okay, that risk reward ratio is going to be pretty sexy if you're into that sort of thing. This is something that you'd want to trade relatively small. But that being said, if I work down where my stop loss might be below all of these lows that haven't been breached in 5 years, does that look like a decent risk reward ratio to you guys? It does to me. Okay, so if you're the position trader type of person, okay, this is really what I would be looking for right here. This is a 250 pip risk. This is a better than 2-to-1 opportunity in my opinion. And that being said, this is really where I might just make a decision to get in. Some of you are going to be looking at a much more short of a time frame for your trades. Okay, so I've already shown what I might do in the absolute longest term, and this is going to take a long time. This is not a trade that's going to take a couple of days. If you're trying to get all the way to the top of this thing, you're going to be waiting a while. You could be waiting 3 months. Okay, but that's the point. You don't have to do anything. Okay, a lot of people look at trading the Forex like, oh man, I've got to be in and out in 15 minutes. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, if you want to be, you can. Okay, so now that we're down to this lower time frame here, we're on the daily. This is where I might look for more of a swing type opportunity, something that might take a few days. Okay, so if I want to be in a trade for a couple of days, I'm on my day chart. Okay, and if we look at this here, okay, this is going to be a slightly different opportunity. I'm just going to reel in these lines I have on this position trade that we showed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here. Okay, I want to be below my AB boundary if possible. We're about 1-to-1 territory right now with where this trade is as we speak. Okay, so realistically, if I wanted to swing trade this, I might enter it twice or wait until we get to this lower price here at our 618. Because now, if I split my order, I can get out at some relatively close prices. My target there is 135 pips away. Okay, but my risk right now is about the same. We're about in 1-to-1 territory with where this trade is right now. Okay, so if I'm antsy and I want to get in right away, and if I can afford it, that's really the most important part, then I can enter this thing right now. Okay, I can enter it right now. If I put a stop limit, okay, go ahead and figure out how many pips we got. I think it was 135 both ways. So I'm just going to type that in, 135. And this is roughly, on this pair, really about a $15 risk. These pips are worth more, or at least they are for me. As far as your account goes, I'm not sure. I think they might be 12 cents a pip. Kind of really depends on, well, a lot of different things. But that being said, for me, this is about a $15 trade with a 0.01. Okay, so if I want to risk $30 roughly on this whole idea of the euro pound going up, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and click buy right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my pending orders. This is a pending buy order that I'm looking for. I'm going to type in my lower price at 84.48. 84.448, excuse me, 0.84448. Okay, stop, limit. Okay, we're going to put my stop. I guess this is a lot further. Let's measure this. From our bottom line here, 190 pips, and I'm going to only risk, let's see, 70. 190 for 70. So if we do get opened at this lower price, this would be 70. And 190 on the bottom here. And this is a pending buy, 84448. We're good. Place. Okay. So now I've got a pending order set. Those of you that want to try to trade this thing longer term, you might do what I just showed you there. Some of you that want to trade this even shorter term might come down to your 2-hour time frame or your 1-hour time frame. Okay, and really this is going to give me a little bit more credence on, where I want to go with it right now. So, we already got into this in the long position because I liked it from the higher time frame. And personally, if I can find a trade opportunity with more information, I don't necessarily need to look at all the ancillary stuff, which would be the lower time frame in my opinion. But that said, we've already broken this trend line. We haven't made a higher low on the right side of this trend line yet. So we actually, I think we've got a little bit of a head and shoulders down here. If you guys know what I mean. This thing. Okay, this could be what we're looking for. Okay, really no gospel in the world. We haven't really made the right shoulder on the right side of the trend line. So this is a little bit confounding, which is also why I'm planning to enter this trade twice. Okay, so really I don't think that there's a great opportunity on this even lower time frame unless you want to really tighten up here. And this is a lower probability, I think, than well, let's just say there's less wiggle room on this trade than there would be on the rest of the ones that I've shown you. Well, because I'm looking at less information to make the decision. Okay, it's really that straightforward. So really, scalp trade wise, this might be what people are looking at. Oop, I don't want to cancel my pending order. That's my pending order down there at the bottom. But yeah, essentially, shorter time frame. This might be what some of you are looking for. And that's great. If you're into that sort of thing, you're going to end up having to make more decisions more often, though, if you want to trade from these lower time frames. This is something that could progress today, could be done today. And a lot of people may try to go even smaller than that, but there's the rest of you that might actually want to run a robot here too. So let's just say if you wanted the right trader max to go ahead and just get in for a bunch of buys whenever it finds them, and run it by whatever fixed lot size. We'll change this to a 0.01 so we keep all of our trades the same size. When all these fixed. And now that I've got my sizes right, I'm on the 1 hour time frame this thing was pretty much built for. So let's go ahead and click OK. Now it's going to apply my script. Close this out here. And this has been in buy territory. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit so we can get more data in here for our system so it can make better decisions. We could come down for a little bit looking at this here. Who knows? End of the day, this thing's only going to get me in if it finds an opportunity to buy. If it doesn't, then it's going to do nothing, which is perfectly fine with me. It looks like we did just enter this here. That's what this arrow is. I think that's my manual order. But now that I've turned this robot on, I can't do anything else with that. So I'm just going to move on to a new chart. Okay, let's go over to the EURUSD over here. I'm going to clear this screen out. This one looks like a lot of fun. A lot of people really like this EURUSD. And the Fed did just change their stance here in the last couple of days. Let's go to the chart settings. I just want to get rid of this active trade that we've got here. So I don't confuse anybody. We're already up 50 pips or so on the EURUSD. I'm going to crunch this thing down. Okay, I want the whole world in my hands because I want to make my decisions with as much information as possible in every situation. And you guys saw me draw a couple of outer lines on our Euro Pound. Okay, so here's the same thing on our Euro USD. Okay, same thing. Let's go ahead and draw our counter trend lines here. Seems very, very much less profound than it did on the last one. But cool thing is, I think we called this this supply demand price several months ago. I don't even know when we would have called this. I think it's in the trendline video that I made that's on YouTube. But it's been a long time that we called this price. Okay, so it was met. Okay, that's the important part. And the interesting part about it is, I think one of the main reasons why we did call it, because this does look like an uptrend, at least it does to me. We're on the right side of our trend line right now. It's not yet made a new high. We could be in sideways territory. At least it seems like that to me. We do have a ton of price demand at higher prices up here. So let's just say a lot of people were okay with paying these prices up here for a good number of years, and we haven't tested that in a while. Okay, so the reason why I think we might be able to get up there, if I pull my Fibonacci range from the bottom, okay, our lower prices we saw, I guess this would have been all the way back in 2017. Okay, so if those were the prices back in 2017, this is the Obama administration over here on the left. You know, we've got basically half of the Obama administration, some people say all of it, in office right now here in the US. Okay, so if this is aiming right towards the meat of my market up here in this big green box, and I come down here and I want to draw one more Fibonacci, let's just say, if I assume that this is my new range, because it has been for the last year, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and just dump out this other one real quick so nobody gets confused. We're not using this to trade right now. Okay, and we're just going to zoom in. Let's come down to our weekly time frame. Okay, but this is our weekly. You guys see what level we're at right now? Anybody like trading from the 618? Yeah, that's really where we are. We're at the 618 retracement level. The reason why people like to trade from the 618 is really pretty straightforward, and it's because you can manage your risk well. So if I can aim all the way up here where my extension might be, theoretically, okay, from my current market price at the 618, and then I can have my stop loss outside of my AB boundary, okay, I'm looking at protecting myself with a price that hasn't been breached since February of last year, and really the last time that we got lower than that price was all the way back, 4 years ago. Okay, so I'm not worried about getting stopped out, at least not anytime soon, especially since this is a weekly time frame. It would take me a couple months to get down to that price. So this is another big position style trade. I think John Antaya is the kind of guy that wants to trade this sort of thing. I could be wrong. I think there's a few of you actually that are into this type of trade. But we'll work down on this one too, just like we did in the Euro Pound, because there's a lot of opportunities when you find a big one on the high time frame. Then, a lot of people don't. I'm lazy. Okay, so I want to buy something and I want to sit and chill. I want the market to work for me. And that's really the whole reason why I trade. That's the whole appeal to begin with, because I don't like to work. And, at a certain point, trading is not really work for me, but at a certain point it becomes work, and it becomes something I have to think about. So if I play this thing small, okay, and I trade, say a 0.01 here, I'm 700 pips away. It's a $70 risk. I don't care about $70. You might, so you may not want to take this trade, but 2,000 pips up high, that's pretty neat. Okay, that's a huge, huge call to make. Okay, even if this thing digs 300 pips against me and then I buy it again, I mean, it's a 2,300 pip opportunity, and we're not even close to the stop loss. Okay, so this may not be how this plays out. Okay, if we decide to come down to these lower prices, it may never get up here. The deeper this thing digs, if it gets into my blue level or my green level here below, I'm not going to expect this level up top, at least not anytime soon. So I wouldn't want to aim that high. I might aim down to this red level, because I still have a 2-to-1 opportunity here. So I don't have to come all the way to my red extension level above if I want a solid risk reward ratio. Okay, so that's really the main thing that I like to pay attention to, is risk to reward. Can I afford this trade? Is it roughly the same price as all of my other decisions? Because I like to manage myself on a decision to decision basis. I don't want to put all of my eggs in one basket. Okay, so you guys have already seen me place a couple trades. I have a few running here. You'll notice we're losing a couple, but I don't care, because I'm winning these other 3. Okay, so everything's going to balance out. I haven't lost these other 2 trades. I'm just not winning right now. And really, to me, I don't have to win all the time, as long as I manage my decision-making process and I don't risk too much in any specific place, because I think I can win more than I lose. And really, that's the important part. Even if I don't win more than I lose and I use risk-reward ratios like this, I only have to win. Well, let's just say if I'm risking, 2-to-1 on all of my opportunities, I risk the same amount of money, I only need to win 3.5 times out of 10. This is better than 2-to-1. Okay, so all that said, that's the one thing you need to understand. You need to be prepared. Well, you need to be able to afford your losses and your wrong choices that you make, because you will make them. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of this fun stuff, okay, there are some much smaller term opportunities. I'm gonna clear this whole screen out. Okay, I'm just gonna make this a little bit more simple. Okay, here's our big range that we've been in since 2020 in March, since the beginning of the COVID madness. And we're right at our 618. So if I wanted to trade this in a shorter term, okay, I could be very, very simple, very cavalier. I just need a previous lower low to get in, and this might be what I'm looking at right here. And the reason why I'm setting this up on this high time frame is because I can. People ask me that all the time. Why are you looking for a trade on the weekly time frame or the daily or whatever? And it's because I already found a trade that I like. Okay, so I already know where the heavy levels of support are. I'm below 2 of them. Okay, if we come to our even lower time frame, okay, this is obviously sideways. Okay, very obviously sideways as far as our inner trend line goes here. It looks like we broke it. Okay, we're on the right side of it right now. This looks like a buy to me. Okay, I'm already in the EURUSD long. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pile on to my winner, because if it's coming my way, I want to make more money on this trend. Okay, so it's 148 pip risk for a 358 pip opportunity. So 148, say 350. Okay, buy. Okay, it's $15 risk, $35 opportunity from a 0.01. Okay, so you don't have to become a millionaire on any one trade. If you're looking at something you could become a millionaire on, you could very easily blow out your account if things don't go your way. Okay, the whole point is that I want to make enough money to buy dinner for myself on all these, and maybe a lovely lady at the same time. You know, so these are all very low impact decisions for me. As you trade a bigger amount of money, then maybe you'll be talking about cars and stuff. But reality is, you got to put things in perspective for yourself into terms that are comfortable for you. I'll trade a sandwich for 2 sandwiches every day, 10 times. You know, you got to figure out what that number is for you. Okay, so now that we've gone through here, I want to check out the New Zealand dollar. So let's go ahead and check out the NZDUSD. Okay, and New Zealand, like I mentioned, very much struggle bus last quarter. And you guys are going to see another familiar trend on this one too, just like we saw on the last few. And here's our line from the left. That looks like an uptrend to me on the top, and here's our line on the bottom. That looks like an uptrend to me. So realistically speaking, okay, I'm going to be bullish on this most of the time. Okay, I know that there is blood in the water. So realistically speaking, what are the chances that they have another down quarter after they just opened up? Australia's on the mend. And, you know, really, the people are going back to work there. Everybody's vaccinated. Okay, so if they're no longer going to be locking anybody down, then I think that there might be a little bit of a resurgence here, especially considering we're on the right side of our trend line. Can it come lower? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I think it can go a lot higher? Absolutely. Let's come to our week. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what I think. Okay, so this is the part that a lot of people struggle with. But, you know, everybody's going to have an idea like, oh, no, this is definitely coming lower. Or it's definitely coming higher. Nobody knows. Okay, that's the fun part about trading. Nobody has any clue. Okay, the point is, okay, you can know that New Zealand is going to raise interest rates. The USA is going to be raising interest rates. New Zealand raised them actually before. I mean, 2 weeks ago they raised their rate by 25 basis points, and they're talking about doing it again here soon. So both of them are going to raise rates. We're at somewhat of a low price right now. We're at our blue level below. If nothing else, I might expect this thing to go sideways. Okay, and sideways is not a bad trade as far as this situation goes. If I take my existing AB boundary that we're in right now and I extend it back here, really just at the price we're at now. Okay, do we have prices where the market had previous resistance or support at this price? At this price, the one we're at right now. The answer is yes. Okay, and I'm going to circle this stuff for you. Previous resistance likes to become future support. So we have resistance here, really price pockets all over the place here, support there, again there, resistance there. That's a price pocket as well. More support, more resistance, more support, more resistance, more resistance. I think that this is an impactful price. Okay, really doesn't matter, you know, if it ends up being an impactful price. All I have to do is figure out where I can manage my risk. Okay, so I'm going to pick this previous low here. I might actually get out of my AB boundary. This is another, in my opinion, longer term opportunity. Make this blue line my current market price. And if this market decides to go sideways, I have a lot of opportunities to get out. I want to get out where the market, well, let's just say at popular prices. The market's made lots of turns here. This thing goes sideways. No reason in my mind why we can't go exactly where I'm pointing right now. I can be a little bit tighter with my stop loss on the bottom here. Okay, I'm really just looking for a 2-to-1. Okay, so here comes my 273 pip stop loss. Those of you that want to trade this on a shorter time frame, you can. I'm just showing you guys the big ones first. This is a 430 pip opportunity that I'm looking at with a 260 pip risk. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my 260, type in my 430, okay, and I'm going to click buy because I already like this opportunity and I'm perfectly fine risking 25 bucks. I don't care. Okay, so realistically speaking, you know, that number is going to be different for everybody. I'm not telling you guys what to trade and how much to trade. I'm telling you really more or less what I would do in these situations and how I would manage my risk based on what I've learned over the years, because, you know, the most important thing is not that you're right all the time. The most important thing is that you are constantly managing your risk in ways that make sense. I don't know how else to put it. Okay, so my price up top here, I may be aiming a little bit too high, but realistically speaking, we stay in this boundary. I've got lots of opportunity to get out. This is 430 pips away. So if you get cold feet at 200 pips, you can dump it. You can dump it. Nobody ever goes broke taking a profit. And I like to aim for these big wins because, hey, if I get there quick, then why not? This could take, you know, a couple of days. This could take a couple of weeks. Really kind of depends on what happens here when we start the year. And that could be a pretty booming move. Okay, if you guys can see this here right now, we're now on the 4-hour time frame. I'm going to draw a quick trend line here. Okay, we've broken out. We're on the right side of this trend line. And really, if I come down here and I use this whole trend, this is really in the sweet spot. I don't know what you guys are looking for on the chart, but that looks like a trend line break to me. And realistically speaking, the reason why I take more credence on things like this when we break, actually, let's clear this out so you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, but I've got my trend line break that happens. Here's a high. Here's a lower one that was on the left side of my trend line. My real confirmation that I need is a lower low right here. Okay, so reason why I'm looking for that is because I want to know that the trend is moving back upwards. Okay, so not just that we broke this trend line, but that we also made a higher high. So just to show you guys what I mean, if I get rid of this line here, earlier in this trend, we had a trend line break right there. Okay, but we did not make a higher high on the right hand side of the trend line right here. Okay, so that's lower than this one on the left. So we never really got confirmation that this thing was going to trend more upwards. Okay, so what did it do? It fell. Okay, we've also got lower lows that are happening here on the bottom. Okay, so I've got a trend line break, but I've got no confirmation with my trend itself that we're going the other way. Okay, that is different from this current situation. Okay, this current situation, we've broken our trend line. We've got a higher high on the right hand side, and we may be forming the low that we need right now. Okay, so all things considered, we come down to our maybe 1 hour time frame. For those of you that are looking for a shorter term opportunity, I'm going to use my smart ABCD tool. We're at the 382 right now. Last time we were at the 382, the market went ahead and made a jump, and it traveled a good 70 or so pips, 73 pips, the last time we were at this price. Okay, so could come a little bit higher. We actually never hit our extension price above. So our extension price, just to show you guys where the short-term traders might rip the tape on life, be up here at 68,415 roughly. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get my current market price on here. This is my favorite one to draw because it's easy. Okay, so now I need to know where I can manage my risk. I like to be outside of my AB boundary unless it doesn't make sense to do that. Okay, so right now we have better than a 1-to-1 opportunity from this price. If I want to enhance my risk reward ratio, then I split my order and I might get in for the rest of it at my 618 price below. Okay, because that was also a previous turnaround. Okay, so this is really the split up that I'd be looking for. And to measure the risk reward opportunity here, I'm risking 61 pips to try to capture 82, 1.25 to 1, 1.3 to 1, something like that. Not too shabby, but our better price down here, I'm risking something like 37 pips to try to get 105. This is a 3 to 1, a considerably better trade. So patience is king. Okay, you don't want to put all of your eggs into one decision in one moment. Okay, if I think that this chart's going to come up, I can hedge my bet. And I can say, you know what? I think it's going to go up. It could happen right now. It may not. It could come down a little bit further. If it does, I want the better price. I want the better price. It's really that straightforward. Okay, so all of those things said, I'm already in this one trade. I think I'm already in this once. I already bought this. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our pending order here. Pending buy. I'm going to go ahead and add 0.6735. That's where I'm going to look to buy. My stop loss below here. We did just measure this. But just to make sure I don't make a mistake, 37 pips to try to capture, we'll call it 100. Okay, this is a really small risk, okay? Versus everything else I've done, $25 and whatever, this is a $3 risk. So if I wanted to do something like maybe put a little bit more weight on this, I could go ahead and put a 0.02, risk $7, try to make 20. That feels like more fun to me. Or a 0.03, I'd be risking something like $10 to try to make 30. Okay, so I think a great opportunity. I'm not worried about 10 bucks. It's actually a smaller risk than I usually take. So we'll go ahead and click on place order. Okay, so as long as that mode of thinking is something that works for you and your trading account and your amount of money, that's something that you could do. Okay, not something that everybody's going to trade this the same size. Some of you are going to want to trade a standard lot position and risk $370 to try to make 1,000. Okay, that's totally up to you and your wallet. Okay, so we're good to go. I'm going to keep on moving here. And we've looked at a lot of currency crosses already. One of my favorites that I always like to check out, Aussie New Zealand. Let me go ahead and clear this screen out. Go to the all time frame. Get rid of our order window here for a second. Crunch this thing down so we can get the whole world in our hands. And really this one, for the last several years, been pretty cut and dry. Really we're looking at a sideways market. Okay, we have been. Okay, this is what this thing has been doing for quite some time. Okay, so a lot of traders are looking at the bottom of this range here. Okay, Australia's really kind of been on a tear. And if we go back to Forex Factory real quick, if we look at the Australian numbers that came out here, you guys can see this 366,000 jobs added. That is huge. Okay, they had a really big fall in their unemployment rate as well. So that's a lot of Aussie strength. And New Zealand's been taking a beating for the last quarter. So all things considered, let's come down to our week. Okay, we are testing a high right now. Zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so you guys can see why I picked these prices for this box. Okay, at least on the bottom. If we want to be a little bit less, maybe audacious on the top side, we had lots of turnarounds at this price. Okay, I like this rectangle tool just because it helps me understand what my range is. Okay, so if we come down to our day chart, because I still don't have a trade, we're at a high price. I'm chasing the dragon on this one at this point if I decide to get in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a quick trend line here from the top. And I'm going to get a closer look. Let's come down to our 4-hour. And we're still bullish. We've got a higher low on the right-hand side of our trend line, just like I showed you guys here earlier. If we zoom in here, I'll go ahead and circle these for you, make it real obvious. But we've got if nothing else, we've got a high here. We've got another one over here on the right. Is this one actually higher, or are we at the same price? Let's go ahead and just draw this. We are not higher, okay? So we are not yet bullish, okay? My opinion, okay, this is maybe a no-go for right now. I may move on, come back to this thing at another time. Because I do think bullish, but I do think that we're overbought right now, okay? So this could be a situation where you want to maybe short this bull move. But let's go ahead and see where our fib ranges are. Okay, we're on our way. Well, we're right at our blue price right now. I mean, end of the day, this is a relatively small opportunity versus anything that we've looked at already today, at least in my opinion. This would be somewhat of a counter trend move that I'm looking at here. And I've got to be able to manage my risk, okay? So that's really what I'm looking at. Okay, we haven't gotten over this high over here on our left in many months. This is a range trade. Let's come down to our 1 or 2 hour chart here. Okay, so now what we're looking at, our high at 106 and change is, well, in my opinion, a fairly safe spot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually short this thing because my risk reward is good. I'm risking, 26 pips to try to get 45. Sounds great. 26 to try to get 45. And actually, reality, I want to add the spread. It's usually going to be something like 5 or 4 on this one. So we'll say 31. And we're still going to aim for 45. Okay. So that said, okay, I want to go ahead and make sure I'm risking an amount of money I am okay with and that I, maybe kind of care about if I win this or not. But, I can forget about it. So I'd be risking something like $9 to make something like 13 here. Actually, I did this on the, I need to do this on market orders. My fault. 31, 45. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click on sell. Okay. And I'm really just expecting this to go sideways with this trade. And really, it's not so much that I'm expecting it to do anything more so than the fact that we're a little bit overbought. Okay. I've got a place where we've got a fresh high on the left that's higher than where we are now. Can we come down and test this level? Why not? Why not? Okay, so that said, let's go ahead and take a look at silver. I know that Ray had asked me about silver earlier today. XAG, USD. This one should be lots of fun. Does look like, well, let's just say, with what we were talking about last week, it looks like it's doing that. So let's clear this out. Let's come to the all-time frame. And silver is an interesting case here, okay? A third of all silver demand is for consumer electronics. So for your iPhones, for your TVs, for anything that needs really fast electricity, silver is the best conductor of electricity known to man, okay? So if we're going to all electric vehicles and all electric everything, windmills, you name it, they're going to need a lot of silver to do any of that stuff. If they're going to build back anything, they're going to build back silver. Okay, so they're going to try to push down. When I say they, I'm saying the people that participate in these markets. For example, Tesla has an interest in the price of silver being low. Okay, so they may try to keep the price down with short positions. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. Let's come to the week. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys, this thing stayed in a range down here for quite some time. Okay, so you guys see this range down here on the bottom. Okay, that's years. We're talking 5 years. Okay, so right now we're in another range. Okay, I'll go ahead and draw it. Okay, get another box up here. And this is pretty straightforward, I think. I'm going to come down to my day chart. We've been in this little range we're in now, let's just say less than 5 years, from middle of 2020 to now. So about a year we've been in this range. And the reason why I picked these prices for this second box be very apparent, just like everything I like to do with my trading, because I am just a pattern finding guy, and that's really what this is all about. Okay, so if I know that the market has a tendency to get down to these lower prices and work its way back towards the top, then I'm going to keep betting on that. Okay, especially considering when I go ahead and I draw my counter trend lines in here. Here's one. Okay, we broke it and we moved towards the top. Okay, here's another one. We broke it and we moved towards the top. That actually happened early. Here's another one. Okay, we broke it. We made a higher high on the right hand side of our trend line right here versus our high on the left side of the trend line. Okay, so this to me means uptrend, but we are very much, testing the limits on this low price. So I may even aim at this even thinner range. Let's come down to our 4 hours. The lower the chart that I have to go to make a decision, the smaller the opportunity. But this particular one, let's just say silver is going to move like a rocket. Okay, so a 10% move on silver, you're talking a $2 move. That's between our yellow circles here right now. Okay, so I've got a higher high that's formed. This thing could come down a little bit before it decides to make a move. But just to show you guys, I do have another trend line break. Okay, so what I'm looking for is a higher high on the right-hand side so I can confirm my uptrend. Do we have one? Let's go ahead and measure. Looks like yes, we've got a higher high. I'm going to get rid of that now because now I've measured. Okay, I've got my higher high on the right-hand side of the trend line. I do not have a higher low yet. Okay, so what I would really want to do is look to buy at a new low that forms on the right-hand side of this trend line. So I need this thing to make a C price. Let's come down to our 2 hour. And let's just imagine, that this is our wave. We're starting to make turns down right now. Okay, we'll just imagine this is our wave. Where might I want to become a buyer? Okay, really the best place to buy for my strategy with Fibonacci is always going to be at 618 levels. It's always going to be down here. Okay, so if the market gets there, I want it. Okay, same thing if the market gets somewhere where the market's turned around before a lot, I want to get into that price. Okay, so end of the day, I'm only going to aim up to this 23.4 price above. Okay, let's get a green line on here. Okay, and because my stop loss, I'm going to keep relatively close. Because if I do lose, I want an opportunity to buy again at the lower prices. Okay, so all of these, let's just say these two entries here would be great for me. If I like my entry right now, then I may do that. But that said, no reason why this 22 price can't happen again. And we really haven't made our low, our C price. Okay, so if we haven't made a C price, then I'm not ready to just buy something because it's been going up for the last 2 days, because it really fell for the month before that. so it's only been up for a couple of days here. So I need confirmation of a higher low on the right hand side, because we're still getting lower lows on our left hand side. So I really need some confirmation from a lower low on the right hand side of my trend line, and then I'd want to take this thing up to 23. Okay, so that said, I think those are the levels I would be looking at as far as silver. Oil's another big one that a lot of everybody wants to know about. Let's just say, because oil has a tendency to impact everything. Okay, and we come down here, crunch this thing down. Okay, and what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to kind of ignore all of these prices over on the left, because let's just say the conditions that existed before 2008, those are gone. Okay, as far as oil goes, this is a pretty volatile market. This is what we've seen for the last several years. Okay, this is really what I'm looking at. Okay, we had this falling wedge that was happening. We've broken above our trend line. We've got a higher low on the right-hand side of our trend line, higher high as well. So let's come down to our day so you guys can better see what I'm talking about. Okay, but what I'm paying attention to more than anything else is that we've got a high right here, okay, on the right side of my trend line, okay, and it's a lot higher than this one on the left that happened in 2018. Okay, so prior to this, okay, we had, you know, the Obama administration. Actually, I'll come back to that. A lot of people say that the government doesn't have a lot of say in how much anything costs, but you know, the fall that happened from $85 down to 60 some dollars here in the last few days, weeks, okay, that was caused by the government putting more supply in the market. So anybody wants to tell me that the government can't control the price of oil, they can go ahead and look at the 50 million barrels of oil that the US government just put out, look at the chart, and then come back to me with some evidence. Because that's really the long and short of it. Okay, so these are the prices that really we had highs and lows in the Obama administration. Okay, so this is up in the 100 range. I don't see any reason why we can't get there, especially if I pull my Fibonacci here. I believe it's this chart, maybe the week, or maybe the daily. But yeah, our next extension level, all the way up here, if we zoom in, should be able to tell us what this is. Maybe I'll just draw a line there. Okay, we're talking about, you know, 104. Okay, that's pretty far. Okay, we're at $71 right now. Okay, so let's come down to our day chart. We're gonna eliminate some stuff on the screen here so we can get a closer look. I already think bullish for the long term. Let's crunch this down and see what we're doing in the lower time frame here, because this is really a little bit of a trend line break right now. Okay, so this does look kind of ugly in my short-term bullish outlook, although we're kind of missing some of the trend. Oop, got an extra line here. Get rid of my lock tool. My fault. I got a little overzealous. I drew my line early. Okay, so this is really the trend line that we're paying attention to. But just to show you guys, okay, so a lot of people wonder why a trader picks particular lows, particular highs to put their trend lines, and the truth is that, you know, a lot of people are going to do this kind of like you just saw me do. Okay, and now that I've got more information in front of me, I want to know what the pattern is. Okay, so that's really the point of using any tool, is to figure out what the pattern is. So if I'm looking at this trend line break and I'm thinking, oh wow, I'm going to sell this all the way down to zero. Okay, maybe, but I don't see us getting carbon neutral that quickly. So we had a trend line here. It broke, the market went up higher. We had a new one there. We had a new one, a new low there. We had a new low here that we could have drawn one. And you guys can see this market just kept breaking the trend, moving up higher. We broke the trend here, we moved up higher. We broke the trend here, we moved up higher. You guys get the point? Okay, we broke the trend, we moved up higher. We broke the trend, we moved up higher. Now we broke the trend. Okay, so we haven't yet moved up higher. Okay, I'm really just looking for patterns here, people, because, well, let's just say how I make my money. So let's come down to a lower time frame. Let's call our 4 hour. Okay, and let's get a trend line, counter trend, I should say. And it does look like we're on the right side of our counter trend. We have not yet made a higher high on the right side of our trend line. We have not yet made a higher low, okay, that I can use on any time frame, well, really above this one at all. So I come here, we're falling a little bit right now as we speak. Okay, so if we zoom in here, slightly lower price could be in our future, but the reality is, okay, I'm bullish because I don't think that, well, let's just say I think that the government wants us to use less oil. Anybody have any disagreement with that? Does anybody think the governments of this world want us to use? Do you guys think the government wants us to use more or less oil? This is a stupid question on purpose. Let me know what you think. Want to make sure you guys are awake. You guys think they want more or less oil? Thanks, John. Appreciate that, Brian. Philip, are you awake? Thanks, Peter. Lisa. Everybody seems to have the same answer too. Less. They want you to use less oil. So if I want you to use less of something, there's a real easy way for me to want you to use less, okay? And it's just to make the price higher. Okay, so if I raise the price, if I make it more expensive for you to use something, you're going to do it less. Maybe not you, but somebody that can't afford to do it. You know, if I used to drive, for me, it costs me $25 to drive to the office now. I don't want to drive to the office. I'd rather stay at my house. I'd rather stay at my house anyways. But the reality is I'm less inclined to want to spend money to drive to the office if it costs me $25 versus $15. Okay, very straightforward principle as far as that goes. So I'm thinking higher prices very much possible, especially considering that's been kind of the case for the last year. And really got all these supply chain issues, whatever. I don't see price coming down. If anything, I see it going sideways. Okay, so maybe I don't want to get in immediately as far as oil goes. Okay, I do expect this to come up. Okay, so the next target that I would be looking for, where I might take some profit on an oil trade, be up here at 79 bucks and change. So just before we get to 80. Okay, it was at 85. This is a day chart a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so this 85 price, we're talking about November 9th. 84.94. Okay, so that's a huge move. We're talking a big percent. Okay, from this 71 that we're at right now, we're talking 13-14% move on oil from the current market price. And I don't even think that this is the best place to buy it. I think it might be a little bit lower, but we'll really find out here in the coming days. I think people are going to be traveling, flying to visit family for the holidays, New Year's. I don't think that oil is going to come down. It could. Because as you guys have heard me say many times, doesn't matter what I think. It matters what I can protect risk on. Okay, so if I was going to be this audacious to try to get in right now, I might put my stop loss somewhere up here on the 69.245 price. Okay, and try to take this thing to a little bit closer on this nearer term 4-hour chart, okay, to 77.46. That's a razor thin stop loss for a relatively large opportunity, or you could split up like you've seen me do a bunch of different times, pull your stop loss lower here. This would be a little bit more of a long-term play and would require more money to do so, okay, but my opinion, a little bit less stressful. If you're the type of person that freaks out every time that you lose a trade, then, let's just say it's easier if you just play smaller and give yourself more variation, okay? Because, let's just say it's a lot less likely for oil to get to $65 and change than it is for it to get to 68.5. Okay, so that being said, okay, these bigger moves, okay, if I'm playing the long-term trend on this is up, has been since price was below zero last year, then I'm going to assume that if it digs against me, I've just got better prices to buy from. Okay, that's what trend trading is all about. If I think the long-term trend is up, if I start losing, I can always reload because the long-term trend is up. Okay, that's really the way that I like to approach this from a mental standpoint. And, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be right all the time, but if I use more information to make my decisions, I have more opportunity to be correct. Okay. So that said, this is really what I'm looking at for oil. We've covered a lot here in today's presentation. I think we've got a lot of trades running right now. And, we're up 65 pips or so, including last week's trades. So hope you guys enjoyed. We are out of time here. If you guys do like these presentations, you guys like having me do them, really something that if you haven't already, give us a review. If you come to the Google machine and you type in 123Trade, this is how you do it. I'll go ahead and just share this link with you guys. Okay. I'll go ahead and put this on the chat box, because if you guys enjoy getting, no cost presentations from us here at 123Trade. The one way for you to make sure that that happens, and I've been doing these for a little bit over a year, but I did recently get promoted at the company, so I have a good amount of responsibility, to say the least. But I love doing these sessions. If you guys want to see them, give me a review. Love to hear your feedback. Really like to put as much energy into these as I can. I think it makes me better at the rest of my job, because I think, well, let's just say staying on top of the market's good for anybody, especially if you want to teach people how to do this type of stuff. So, but that said, it is Friday. Hope you guys had a wonderful year trading the Forex. We are at the end of our last full week of trading. The market is open next week. It is just going to be closed on Friday. I believe so, at least. We're going to have a lot of markets closed over the next couple of weeks. But that said, the market is going to move. There's going to be a massive opportunity to start the year. If you go back real quick, I'll show this before we get out of here. Okay, I'm going to come over to the, let's just say the GBPJPY is probably a good one to see this on. And I think we are already short on this one, if I'm not mistaken. Let's come back here. Actually, I think I have this drawn. I do. Let's come to the day chart. Okay, and this happened in 2019. A lot of flux in the market right now. So there's a good chance something like this may happen again. This is the first day of the year in 2019. Just figure I'd show this to you guys real quick, but we had 790 pips fall. Oh, hold on. Let's 790 pips down, followed by 790 pips up. If you guys can see this, this is just one cross. Okay, that's, you know, more than 1,500 pips of movement in less than a week. Yeah, on this downstroke, this happened. This is the first day of the year, January 1st, 2019. Okay, so if you guys aren't on the lookout for stuff like this, you should be. Matter of fact, there might be a really awesome buy opportunity at some of these prices that are, well, you know, if you go to your monthly time frame, I'll show you guys one of them real quick. Let's come to our all real quick. Okay. Anything, you know, I may be looking for prices like this to sell towards. I'm already in a sell position on this pound JPY. Could come down, tap this 139 and come right back up. That'd be 1,000 pips. Okay, so I think there's a massive opportunity here. We're already short on this. Okay, so if you guys haven't checked out the pound JPY, you probably should. But again, thank you everybody for joining. Again, I'm Will Bridges. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and if you can't be good, then be good at it, folks. Take care.